like most typical tour like tradition, blew the transmission in our Subaru, like rolling into the parking lot. We like parked on shakedown, and there's like smoke coming out of
It's
the
like
hood.
a fucking movie.
It's like,
What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Best Show Ever podcast where I interview people about the best shows they've ever seen in their lives. I'm your host, Cam Herdt, and it is Phish Week. We have come upon Phish Week, okay? We got spring tour starting on Friday in Seattle. Got two great Phish episodes out right now. One of those is with Sarah Kuyat from the Divided Sky Foundation. That's the other episode. But the one that you're listening to right now is with one of my favorite faces to see on the lot. A guy who I met this summer at Alpine Valley. It's a great spot to meet a good Midwestern Phish fan. And this is Logan from Mr. Dude on the pod today. Listen, more than likely you have held in your hand a Mr. Dude t-shirt or sticker. You've seen one of the plush toys. You've seen one of the, Pepe Le Pew Trey guitar shirts. That's Mr. Dude. And if you haven't stopped by the booth yet, you gotta. Okay, this guy has got some great merch. Go ahead and follow him on Instagram right now, and you can check out all the stuff that he's been doing for a ton of different bands, too. He's starting to get hired by some bands out there. But this is a guy who's music and the art around music runs deep for this dude. He talks about his life of music leading up to the life that he's living right now. Mr. Dude, I don't believe we'll be on spring tour right now, which is a bummer. And so what you can do is you can go support his page. Go to Mr. Dude on Instagram. Check out his website. See what he's got for sale up there right now, because it's more than likely some super, super dope shit. How's that sound? With Phish Week coming up this week, I assume that a lot of people are going to be listening to Phish, but hopefully these episodes get you ready to go for Phish tour. I know that the story of Mr. Dude getting to Lot, his first time, to me, is like a quintessential Phish story. So I hope you enjoy it. But that's enough intro out of me. Enjoy this conversation that I had with Logan from Mr. Dude. But first, there's a little bit of music from Logan.
that's right.
We've been waiting for this, Hell yeah, dude.
A match made in heaven.
Let's jump right in. We can get in, before we get into all your best shows and all that stuff, what is the first concert you ever saw in your life?
Well, that is to be determined. I talked to my dad about this. So my dad, I come from a very musical family. My grandpa was a country music singer, songwriter, played on the Grand Ole Opry, mostly sold. He would never like tour his music. Back then it was like a smarter move to sell those songs to like more popular artists so that he could like stay at home and take care of the farm. He was a very like good old boy country guy. And then when my dad came around, it was like the 80s, and he was like super into hair metal and like rock and roll. And so he ran a local venue in Peoria called the Madison Theater for like the whole time I was growing up. My first show is fuzzy, but it is either Fleetwood Mac or Warren Zevon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. The Warren Zevon is like a much cooler story. I was too young to like say words, but I could say ahoo. And like my dad was like working that show or whatever, and like was like, "Hey, Warren Zevon, this is my baby, blah blah blah." And he signed a CD to me that day, and it says, "To Logan, all the best ahoo."
Sick. Dude, that's
Warren
so
Zevon.
sick. He has had like, I feel like Warren Zevon is at such like a resurgence. He's like having like a Steely Dan moment in culture right now. People are like re-stoked on that. Anytime I'm like seeing someone do like karaoke, someone busts out a fucking Warren Zevon song all the time. Dude, yeah, that's sick.
I love it.
That's so sick.
And then like the first concert that like I wanted to, I was like consciously like, hey, like, can I go see this? Was Green Day and My Chemical Romance in 2005 on the American Idiot tour.
Yeah, like I wanted to go to that show too, man. Like, are you kidding me?
and that was really cool. And I like saved like confetti that like fell from the sky. I was just like so awestruck of like rock and roll in general. But yeah, definitely like.
And we talk about on the show sometimes like the monoculture that used to be a thing, and that there's not, like super major mega famous, like of course there's like Taylor Swift's and Sabrina Carpenter's and stuff, but there's just such a breadth of options now. And it felt like Green Day American Idiot album coming out at Best Buy is like, like there was a lot of people there buying that, and like that was like maybe the last time that kind of stuff like where you went and bought the CD, and then the tour was a fucking huge deal. I remember that.
It was like cover Rolling Stone, cover of like there was nothing else to be talked about. Was like punk rock band makes it big. Is
and then you
touring
went and bought
the
the
world,
DVD of the live tour.
Yeah,
I had the DVD of the American,
right.
And that was like what you got for Christmas after the tour happened over the summer. Like, we don't. I mean, now it's sick because you do have like every band puts a live stream up every night, and you can watch a whole fucking tour from your house if you want, which is sick as fuck. But like, it just. That American Idiot time was like so important, dude. It was like so like,
it meant more. I guess like we're very privileged right now, right? Like it's very cool that we have what we have, but everything it like goes back to like the whole idea of like making a record to be listened to from start to finish. You know what I mean? Like because we didn't have streaming and all this other stuff. Like when you got that record, when you went and bought it, it was like an experience. And it was like the same thing with like going to those concerts and like getting the DVD. And like my big thing was like you got the tour T-shirt with like the dates on the back, and you went to school the next day, and you're like, yeah, I was there. You're like, my ears are still ringing. What's up?
Cam went to the fucking Green Day show.
You're like a little kid. Yeah, Cam
stuck it to the man last night, dude. I did my homework. Fuck.
Right.
Yeah, that's sick. That's so sick.
Right.
And I wanted the shirts too. Crazy that you're into what you're into now. Just.
It's so that's like the whole thing for me. Like it's always people like ask like how I like got into what I got into. You know what I mean? And it's just like no, this is straight up the only thing I've ever known. Like my dad, like I was never like in bands. Like I was in some shitty punk band when I was like 16 or something. But like other than that, like I was never in bands. Like I was always like on the side of the stage helping and like getting cool T-shirts from my dad. Like I had like Typo Negative and like Danzig and like any band that came through Peoria. I was wearing like first grade wearing an adult XL into school. Like, yeah, I'm cooler than everybody else. What's up? And like I remember being in like MS Paint and like drawing the outline of a T-shirt and then like using text boxes and like doodling like and like sending them to my friends being like, this is what you should make as a band T-shirt.
That sucks.
And they're like, Logan, you're an idiot. Like, that sucks. Get a job.
You're like, cool, I'm going to do this forever.
But yeah. Yeah, and I just like kept doing it. Like, whatever, like, all right, and then eventually it paid off. So, like, kids, follow your dreams. Just, like, keep doing that thing forever.
Do what you know. Like, and like you said, like, that's just what you grew up knowing and doing and being around in your family and stuff. That's so fucking sick. I mean, you had to have seen, now, I mean, I'm sure a billion shows, but do you have, like, a worst show in your life, either from that era or, like, just a worst show experience that you can think of? Yeah.
For sure. For a while, I was working with Jay Goldberg Events and Entertainment, which is like, if you're from Illinois, they like do everything south of Chicago. They run all the venues in Peoria. They run all the venues in Champaign. Most famously, the Canopy Club, which like houses every DJ, every jam band, always. That's like where Humphreys came up grinding. Canopy Club was like essential to me growing up. And so for a while I was working there and like running their street team, and I got posed with working this rap festival that was supposed to be like Russ and Lil Skies and
that
Smoke
type of rap
Perp
festival.
And just like SoundCloud era rap festival. And then apparently 2 of those rappers got in like an insane beef online like 2 weeks before the show. And like half the rappers dropped off. And it ended up being Smoke Perp in the big room at the Canopy Club with 22 people in attendance.
Painful, dude. Painful.
And I'm like trying to like promote this gig, like trying to get anyone to like come hang out at the show, and it's just like abysmal. And then he like comes out on stage like a half hour late, and I'm not super familiar with that music, but I want to say he performed a Travis Scott song 5 times in a row, back to back. Just like, and just like every cringe thing that you could ever imagine with an artist on stage, like it happened right there in front of me with 22 people around me.
This is like
rough.
You know, before a show happens, like if I get booked on something, this is like what happens in my nightmares leading up to it. Is I like walk out to 4 people and I do the same joke 8 times, and they're like, "You're bad," and then I like walk like that is just a fucking nightmare scenario, dude. And then afterwards, I'm sure the guy's like, dude, how come no one was there? It's like, dude, cause fucking you suck. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
even cooler. He didn't even like wait. He like walked off stage and immediately got in his like whatever escort of sorts and like just took off. Like did his like 45 minutes, which 45 minutes. But like did his 45 minutes, dude, got off stage and just
long time. Like I'm sure you know people listening are like, "What, dude? I would go to a 3-hour show." Yeah, you go to a 3-hour show of like really good shit. Like like it's like it is.
Yeah, right.
45 minutes of a bad show is fucking eternity. Like that is so long.
45 minutes of a bad DJ will ruin your life.
Bro. That is bad. I mean, shit. Well, listen. I'm sure you've seen some other good ones, and it's hard to pick like the best show ever. It's a very difficult concept, especially if you grew up going to shows. I'm sure you've got like eras of best shows. But do you have any shows that you would be like remiss not to bring up on the podcast that are like maybe up in there in that upper echelon?
So obviously, like it's impossible to pick just like one show. And honestly, preparing for your podcast up until 5 minutes before I entered this room, I had an idea of the show that I was going to talk about. But I know in my heart what that show I have to talk about is. And it was seeing Black Sabbath on their final tour.
That's you're saying that's the best show ever. That's like, I mean,
best show ever for sure. It's Black Sabbath, and, well, that's all that needs to be said is they're Black Sabbath. But the story around it was just, like, really fun. It's a story of just, like, bros being bros.
If anyone knows the history of that band, it's a huge deal when, like, actually Black Sabbath comes together. If Ozzy is deciding to do Black Sabbath, that's a huge fucking deal. And so it's not just like some legacy act coming together for a tour. You know, this is like, you know, it's almost on par if like Pink Floyd gets back together, you know, and it's like Roger Waters and David Gilmour are back on stage together. Like it's like this ain't just Ozzy. Like this is, and the catalog is nuts.
No,
you know, whatever. We got a lot of hippies listening to this podcast. Sometimes people don't understand. Yeah, dude.
Invented heavy metal. I don't think that anyone can argue that like Black Sabbath released the very first heavy metal record. They are. That's it. They are. It starts and ends there. You know. Yeah. But I was living with 2 of my bros at the time, and honestly had no idea that Black Sabbath was in town. And we lived like 2.5 hours. Peoria's like 2.5 hours south of Chicago, 2.5 hours north of St. Louis, you know? And we have like a roommate group chat, you know, everybody's got that group chat. And one of my roommates texts me and he just says, "Hey guys, Black Sabbath is in town." It's their last tour ever. Where I was like, oh, sick. He goes, tickets are $27. Fill the cooler, get in the car.
Dude. What? What year is this, by the way?
Yeah. Tinley Park, lawn. I have
like
no
10,
idea.
11. I know that they were on tour.
15.
Yeah, dude.
16,
they only did a couple
like
tours because they did one in 2010 that I know that I missed. And then it was like, 2015, something like that. That's crazy.
15, 16, like right around when like Fare Thee Well happened, I want to say. But yeah, so he's like, tickets are $27. They're like Tinley Park lawn tickets. Just like fill the cooler, get in the car.
Yes.
And so, like, so me and my other roommate like wake up and like go buy beer, like fill the cooler, and we're like, yeah, like we're gonna go see fucking Black Sabbath, right? And so we get in the car and we're like, just like, I don't know, just like the most typical, listening to like raging tunes, drinking beers with your bros, maybe possibly road sodas happen.
You're going to fucking Black Sabbath. It would make a lot of fucking sense. Yeah, dude.
All rules are off, right? And so we get in the parking lot and it's just like everything is so larger than, like, it's like the most perfect. There's just like a bunch of dudes wearing like denim cutoff vests that have just like long ass hair, and everyone's just like slugging beers and just like hanging out listening to like Megadeth and shit. It's just like the perfect environment. You're like, yeah, we're like seeing Sabbath. This is like what you do, right?
It's
like,
that moment, especially when you found out like the day of that you're getting the tickets and stuff. You're looking around. You're like, what the fuck else was I gonna do today, dude? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like I couldn't be anywhere else. Like, of course I'm here. And so we're like, all right, great. And like put beers in our coat, and like we're gonna go see Sabbath. We're like, drink them in line, get through, and then like you get on the lawn at Tinley Park, and it's like a pretty good view, whatever. And the show starts, and obviously the band is just like flawless. And we're rocking out, having a good time, and there is this, I like start smelling this terrible weed. Just like the worst weed I've ever smelled in my entire life. And I look behind me, and there's this dude in like a ratty tie-dye Grateful Dead tee. Just like headbanging, singing every single word, knows every word to every song, and he is just like smoking worst weed, and he like passes it to me, and like of course I'm like, yeah, there's no way in hell I am turning down this joint. I don't care if it's made of actual grass, like this. Yeah, and so I hit it, and I swear to you, I've never been higher in my entire life. One hit of this man's wet grass joint sent me to the moon. And it was just like, the stars aligned. And I've got like the one Grateful Dead dude found me. And he's like right behind me, right? And we just get to like rock out, like see Sabbath. Like my bros are there. Like just the best perfect scenario. There's never been a better show scenario for me.
Yeah, like, dude, we talk about this so often on the show. Like, you see a bunch of sick, just fire ass shows. Obviously, cool, but like, what things that take things to like the best show level are like, the people that you're with, the circumstances of how you got the tickets, and then the people who you're like around at the show. It's like usually they're like, dude, we met this fucking great group or this dude or whatever. Like, that shit will make the show. And you're walking back to the car, you're like, who was that guy?
That hippie dude lives. Yeah, he lives in my mind forever. I dream of the day that I run into that dude again, and I'm just like,
you're that guy, dude.
You're the guy. You changed my life. You're the guy.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea who you are,
Yeah, dude, and like heavy metal music and just like heavy music in general through that area of like kind of like the past the suburbs, of Illinois, like into kind of central Illinois. This is the truth in Wisconsin too, and I think like a lot of like just the Midwest in general. When you get past the city, like people are huge, massive fans of just heavy, hard, thrashing metal music in all of its forms. Like I feel like that's where like emo music kind of like blew up in those areas. Yep, Champagne's
Shout
like
out
a
Champagne.
huge fucking hub for emo music. And then, so yeah, dude, I mean, like you said, Sabbath is the Grateful Dead of all of that. They are the fucking blueprint, you know, like. Yeah?
That's how I found Phish. I was gonna do my best to like not talk about Phish on this podcast because I feel like everyone talks about Phish, but like, yeah, that's how I found Phish. All my friends were like I didn't start getting into jam bands. I had like gone to summer camp. Summer camp is obviously like
Right.
in my backyard, being in Peoria, Illinois, and so like I would go and I'd see Humphreys and I'd see Moe and Lettuce and Keller and like it was like whatever, but it never was really like a thing for me. It was just like that was like a concert that I went to every
Part
year.
of the
You didn't
summer
really think about it.
of concerts, like in Illinois and in Chicago, like that's like just a lot of like street dances, local stuff. Like you're just going to a lot of shows. Like, yeah,
Right. And then I was listening to a ton of Sabbath, like fresh out of high school, and like a bunch of other psych music, Earthless, any of those like psych metal bands. And my homie was like playing The Dead one day, and I was like, "Oh, I like
yeah,
these guys shred, whatever." And it was cool, and I like got into Dead for a really long time, but I was always looking for, like you said, that like heavy edge. I was looking for someone to just like shred my face off. And my buddy Sean, shout out Sean, like showed me the right fit, like showed me something off a live one or whatever. And I was just like, oh, they like heavy metal too. Like, cool. And like sent me on my Phish path. And,
I'll
like,
call it
been here ever
like
since.
achieving liftoff, and like, but yeah, punk and metal bands do that with a crowd almost fucking immediately when they take the stage. It's like we have already achieved liftoff. This crowd is fucking gonna lose their minds. And like, yeah, like when you hear a jam build to that point, you're like, oh, I know about that. They got there a different way, but I know about that for sure. Like,
yup. Yeah, or like Big Black Furry Creature from Mars is just like straight up a rewritten
1000%.
Black Flag song, for real. And it's just like, oh, these guys get it, they understand, get the same things. And so it was a very easy crossover for me. And that's kind of like what started Lot Topic and, all the crossover goofy designs and everything that I do was like finding that little
and like,
thread,
because it's, like, punk music, thrash music, metal music is fun. Like it's fun. Like, and it is not meant to be like, of course it can be taken super seriously, but it's meant to be fun. And then that's why you find the Grateful Dead and Phish. You're like, oh, this is like such a like, this isn't meant to be taken. It can be taken super fucking seriously, but this is just like super fun, and these guys get the fun in music. Like when they're playing Big Black Furry Creature from Mars, like you're like, oh, they fucking get the fun of what a Black Flag song is. Like they're like, yeah,
right. Well, and like especially with punk and hardcore bands, there's always going to be dudes that are like trying to act extra tough, and that was just like never my MO. Like I've always just been a goofy kid and just like having fun. And so like in those little mosh pits and stuff, like when kids are acting tough, like you would catch me like breaking busting a move, hitting the stanky leg, or just like whatever, something that's so out of place, just to be like, yo, lighten up. Like we're here like seeing our favorite bands, like just like have fun. Like let's fucking you mosh, like whatever, but like let's just have fun. And then like coming into like dancing at like Dead and like Phish shows, it's just like, yo, I'm quite literally doing the same thing that I was doing when I was 15 in a gymnasium with a punk band. Like I'm still just like dancing in a circle with my friends,
right,
goofing off, and like that's what I'm here to do. I just want to goof off with my friends.
1000%. That is it, dude. Just absolutely goofing off. And I like that's the immediate time you start having at a Phish show. When did you go to your first show? Not to out you. I don't want to fucking.
Oh no, I love this question. Straight up. July 28th, 2021. The first show back from COVID. I like was doing Dead tour pretty much like from Fare Thee Well up until COVID. and just like wasn't doing the Phish thing. I had been like offered like, you know, again, Midwest people, like you get Alpine tickets, you get Deer Creek tickets. It just like happens. Like that time of year comes around and all of your friends are like, hey, we're going to Deer Creek, like get in the fucking car. And I just never, that was never my thing. I was like, nah, I'm gonna do the Dead thing, or I'm gonna like go see more punk shows or like whatever. And then, like I said, COVID, I just like dove really, especially like the dinner and the movies. Dove super heavy into the old school, you know, the old shreddy Phish. And I was just like, yo, this is where I want to be. And it was kind of a funny, Sean, who introduced me to Phish, him and I both lost our jobs in the middle of COVID. And it was just like really terrible timing. Like, I want to say it was like we both lost our jobs within 3 months of each other of like January 2021 or something. And like he knew I did Dead. He had like done a half of like a Phish tour. Like he was like doing the thing already. And he was just like, yo, I don't have my license. Do you want to go do an entire tour of Phish? And I was just like, that band I've never seen before. And he's like, yeah, we're going to like just vend. We'll do Shakedown. Like, do you want to do it? If you drive, I will take you on an entire tour of Phish. Dude. And I was just like, all right, dude, like we both lost our jobs. What do we have to lose?
That's incredible. That's a good friend.
We got in the car and like, we got in the car and my first show was the first night of tour. It was just like, all right, we're doing this thing.
That was Arkansas,
right? It was fine.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude.
Fine.
That's your first show is the first show back from COVID, and you're fully doing the full tour with a fucking van full of merch.
Oh, yeah. And we rolled into Arkansas, and in like most typical tour like tradition, blew the transmission in our Subaru, like rolling into the parking lot. We like parked on Shakedown, and there's like smoke coming out of the hood.
It's like a fucking movie.
No one, like, of course, we're like first time doing this, so no one knows who we are. No one wants to help. I like held up a cardboard sign, literally, like was set up in front of our booth with a cardboard sign and said, "Does anyone know a mechanic?"
Dude, that is like fucking quintessential. Like you could not have. You went 0 to 100 in Phish years. Like that's like.
Yeah, I just had like full send. You know, that's how I do things.
Before you got into a Phish show, you had like 20 years of Phish experience just in that, like just in that trip.
For sure.
Crazy.
The show ended, and obviously, car was completely shot. And so we were running out of options. And so we rented the only thing that was available to rent was like the biggest box truck you all had. And so we put like a small Subaru's worth of stuff in this gigantic like 16-foot box truck and just like trucked it across the country and just like finished
tour
in
a
U-Haul truck
in Arkansas.
Yeah, just left it in Arkansas. Like, we came and got it after tour was over, but, like, left it at a junkyard. Dude. And, finished tour in a U-Haul truck.
Was there a show along that run where you were like, oh, fuck, like, this is really... You had already heard Phish, and you've been listening to him forever. You know about him. You went to the Arkansas show. It's like, that was sick. But, like, was there a moment in any one of those shows on that first tour where you were like, dude, Phish, this is pretty big time? Yeah.
Alpharetta.
Fuck
yeah, my first Alpharetta experience. Phish never fails in Alpharetta. It's just like, few things guaranteed in life, like death, taxes, and Phish and Alpharetta, And that, I remember we ended up like magically, we were normally like lawn boys, just like hanging out in the back, spinning in a circle, didn't have any friends, just like by ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like me and Sean. And Alpharetta, we ended up getting pit tickets. and we walk in Mike's side, and whatever, I don't even remember what song it was, but Mike hit his first like bomb of like post COVID, and we were like 6 rows from him. It's like, you know, the entire room just like got blown back 15 feet, and I was just like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. And they like, there's a Monster Tweezer that weekend. That whole run, there was a Sanity encore, which, you know,
big time
sign of a great show. Yeah. So Alpharetta, it took like, I think it was like my 3rd or 4th show, and I was finally like, yo, I'm in. Like, let's do this forever.
That's fucking wild. And you thought you weren't going to talk about Phish on this podcast. You fucking...
you got me.
Thought, dude.
You got me.
That's sick. I mean, yeah, huge. That's how we know each other. The community is cool. It just had to be pulling up, like you said, knowing no one, hoping that you're gonna get some help or, you know, get out of there somehow. Like, yeah, that's wild. That's a story you're gonna have for the rest of your life, dude. Like, you will have. I mean, I'll be telling that story to people for the rest of my life. That's fucking crazy.
Well, yeah. You pretend it's you, honestly. Like, I tell all my friends that. You can, like, steal the story, like, reword
and then
it, whatever.
Sean will be like, yeah, that's me and Cam. Yeah, what do you talk? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I do want to say shout out Lily real quick.
Yeah.
My friend Lily Lyons, she rolled, this is the coolest part of that, is, like, me holding that cardboard sign, like, asking for help. This, like, magical woman not from this planet, Lily, rolls up in a sundress on a one-wheel, smoking a cigarette. Just like the coolest lady you've ever seen in your entire life. And she's just like, Subaru, huh? Did you just hit 100,000 miles? We're like, yeah, how'd you know that? She's like, blew the transmission. You guys are shot. She's like, you know what you need to do? You need to rent a U-Haul. Like, she, like, totally was, like, she's, like, came out of nowhere with all this wisdom. She's just, like, yeah, she's the coolest. I hope everyone in the world gets to meet Lily someday, because that's what she does. She just shows up and drops really cool knowledge on you.
Yeah, dude, there are these just mythical characters in the Phish scene that you just come across, and you'll see them again at another show at some point, or you'll bump into them or whatever, and they're just, like, yeah, I mean, first of all, just a lot of, like, funny motherfuckers in this scene, but also just, like, yeah, people who just understand, like, yeah.
No, I'm pointing at you. There's funny guys in
I
here.
think the comedy stuff works is because people are funny in the scene. Like, people get it, you know? It's like, they're down for it.
For sure. We are very easy to laugh at.
Right.
The personalities
and people
are large.
Know if you're doing like a surface level, like, hey man, like hippie guy, like they're like, but like, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've had that moment of the dude that you were next to at Black Sabbath that like not every single fucking Phish show, but like so many shows I'm next to some dude or some group of dudes or like, you know, this like group of girlfriends who went and saw shows in the 90s or something that are just like hilarious and
so
like the
cool.
best person to be next to a show at, that are down to, like you said, like goof, but also like watch the show and not be like, so where are you from? Cool. What do you do for work? Like they're like watching the show, but also like doing little bits and like goofing around. And yeah, man.
Yeah. Important note about dude wearing the Ratty Tatty Grateful Dead shirt.
Yeah.
Never asked me my name. Didn't ask me a single fucking question. Just like rocked out, handed me a joint, and like we went our separate ways. And that's why he was so cool to me. Like, he didn't talk. Just like was a guy doing his thing.
He saw another guy doing his thing and was like, you want some of this, dog? He's like, yeah.
Right. Didn't need to be spoken.
Yeah.
You know, just like
beautiful.
You know?
Beautiful
cool.
moment. Yeah, and like I said, I feel like the Phish community has the scene has is just like chock full of that kind of person, you know, just like tons of that kind of dude or lady. That's hilarious. So the Black Sabbath show is like your favorite show, best show ever. Do you have any other like major shows over the last couple of years, like since you've been vending, that like any big moments of being on the lot? I think that a lot of people like maybe want to get into that a little bit, but just don't have the like, fuck it, let's get in the Subaru and go on the whole tour gumption, you know? Like, is like any lessons, tips, or like stories from that you'd like to impart?
I was going to, like I said, I had a separate show as my best show ever up until 5 minutes before we press played. And like the last show, Sunday of Dicks this past year, was my 100th Phish show. And by far, best lot. I mean, you want to talk about Shakedown.
It's like, the best one, yeah.
That's the one, you know? It's the one. And we actually like had this really fun, cool thing this year. It was like we did our buddy that screen prints for like half of the Phish vendors. He is our screen printer. He printed up all these shirts that said teams win. And the idea was that like Dick's can be a very hostile shakedown. There's like a lot of, you know, prime real estate in that lot because it's such a big place. You can end up being set up, you know, out in the dust where no one hangs out, like by the Uber pickup, basically, you know. And so we like all banded together and like showed up at the parking lot of Dick's like 3 days early and like brought a measuring tape and measured out everybody's spot and like roped it off, like met with security and like did the whole thing. And like we had the most of all the shakedowns I've ever worked. Every walkway was 20 feet wide, you know, like there was plenty of room. There was never any like goosenecks. There was no like congestion. Everything was organized and in a straight row. Everyone got there every morning and they weren't like stressed out. And we could all just like show up and be like, hey, like we're going to hang out and have a great day.
That's sick.
It was awesome. So my 100th show came, and then the 100th show came around, and like by Sunday, you know, everything's like already a well-oiled machine, and so like there's zero stress. So, like Sunday, we're like vendors are like in a great mood. We're all like, let's party, and then I show up. I'm like, hey, it's my 100th show. Like let's party, you know, let's rage. And I brought mimosas, and like I don't drink literally at all, but 100 show vibes. Like, let's do it.
Had to.
When in Rome, right? And so drink mimosas. Everyone on Shakedown was just like getting along and like having a good time. Just like, you can't explain it, right? You just got to be there. Just like every vendor's kind of got their own speaker going. Everybody's like out, bopping, moving. We're just like having a good time. I had spent all year, quick sad note, my dog had passed away last year in April, cancer. And so we spent all summer telling everyone we knew, hey, Sunday is Logan's 100th show. They're going to play dog walk. Just so you guys know. And so all summer we're like telling everyone this, like, hey, they're going to play dog walk. Just know it's going to happen. Like, like, shut up.
I would have told you.
Never going to happen.
Had you told me that, I would have been like, probably not.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone that told me, or that I told was like, you're an idiot. Like, no, it's not happening. And so we walk in, it's our 100th show. It's more like my 100th show. And like the first notes hit and I'm just like a puddle of tears. Just like there's no, I'm just like, oh, this isn't real. You know, dude. Like there's no way. And then to hit with a Runaway Jim afterwards, it was like, oh, these are like dog songs. Like, I don't know who did what, how this happened, but like, this happened.
Yeah, dude.
We got dog songs. And this is all I wanted. Literally all
on the 100th show last night at Dick's, which is like, again, like, kind of, how did that time up? Like, how did that all happen that way? Like,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Couldn't be written, you know, just perfect. Set break comes, we like everyone's wearing these teams win shirts. We like take this big group photo and everyone's like having just like a great time, just quality Dick's experience. Set 2, go back to our spot. We're in like the very far back of the floor where there's just like unlimited dancing space. Just like be a goofball with your friends area, you know?
Love it back there.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And my homie Cookie walks up to me and goes, "Hey, moron." It's like, "What?" He goes, "Look at this." And he pulls this necklace, my like gold Mr. Dude necklace, out of his pocket. And I'm just like, "Yo, what, where did you find that? It's supposed to be around my neck. Like, what the hell?" He was like, one of our friends on the other side of the floor found this in between the cracks of the plastic holding the floor together. And when they lifted it up, I happened to be standing there and be like, "Hey, that's Logan's necklace."
Dude. Come on.
Like, what are the...
And that's how many of those are made? One? Right. Like, come on.
One. Yeah. Like, my buddy made it. It's a Mr. Dude logo. Like, dude, it's one of one.
Fucking... Yeah.
Unreal. Just like, 100 show vibes. Like, of course you found my necklace, and it's not lost, and my day's not ruined. This is great. Like, all right. And then we rage, and then, you know, as a kid growing up in punk rock and hardcore, then we get Sabotage as an encore. I mean, and...
Yeah.
Man. The energy that was on the floor of Dick's is the exact same that I see every weekend in the, you know, at the local punk rock and hardcore show. Like, that was all of my friends that listened to punk rock and hardcore losing their minds, grabbing barricades, and just like, I remember, just acting up, being goofy, you know? And what a perfect cap to like a great 100th show, you know? And then you go back to the Dick slot and you still get another hour and a half of goofing off with your friends.
Yeah. That's where the acting up continues. Yeah, you know? Dude. I mean, and there's times where you feel like, we say it all the time, like Trey is in your head or Phish is in your head. Like they know like what you wanted to hear, or like you mentioned something in the car and then like that happens or like some guy at the gas station said some crazy thing and then they had like that kind of shit happens in Phish all the fucking time. But then there's nights where like, I mean, and you kept saying it throughout the time here, you're like, this is where I want to be, or like I knew this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, yeah, like there's nights like that where it's like the universe, man, is like, dude, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Like, here's all the signs. Here's a bucket of signs. You know? Like,
I couldn't write that story better, like, if I tried, you know? And just, like, every time I look back on it, it's so surreal. And just, like, out of, when you are where you're supposed to be, everything just like does.
And like just like the intuition of like when you're in a situation when you're like, I shouldn't be here. Like this is not good. Like you have the same intuition the other way too. When you're like, this is like exactly where the fuck I should be right now. Like is Commerce City throwing down on a soccer field to Sabotage with Phish and all these hippies. Like is exactly where I should fucking be, dude. Yeah.
And the longest tweet prize ever
gets overlooked.
Fun fact.
Fucking Sabotage. You know. Not by.
Well, you know, you get the Sabotage intro in the tweet prize. Fishman comes in on the Sabotage drums.
Yeah.
Big adrenaline moment for me. I still get excited
right thinking about it. I fucking, you know, like that is already the greatest encore of all time. And then if you add Sabotage to it, like the opening notes of that song, like you said, like it just kicks everybody into gear, you know? And like they haven't done that. And it's not like that's like and we could also get Sabotage.
Long time.
No one was talking about that through the day. Like, you know, like.
No. Well, and then after Doglog happens, you're like, that's the one. Like, you gotta bust out. And it's a really cool one, and everyone will talk about it for the rest of the night. So if nothing cool else happens, like, we got Doglog, you know? Like, the rest of the show could be great, and, like, we'll talk, but, like, Doglog happened. And so that's it. Like, there was never, no one in a million years.
And I'm sure, like, you know, we all hope Dix comes back. But if like that's like how you send off your Dix experience too, holy fuck, dude! Like 100 shows, Sabotage, Dog Log, Perfect Lot. You know, I remember like I met a lot of the guys I know through this scene who do any sort of vending. I met at Dix in 2023, and I remember like the vibe after that being like, I don't think we're doing vending next year. Like we're just coming to the shows, like because I'm like, but it's Dix. They're like, yeah. No, I mean it's a fucking animal, you know. It's a huge, and it's stressful. And like by the time you're on the fourth day, you're like, I don't even fucking know if I can do the lot today. I'm just going to the show, you know. And then it's like, what? Yeah. So that's sick. That's not a small, like that's a huge part of what plays into that being like a huge Phish experience is that you like put in the work to make it organized, you know. And it's like sounds like something simple that's already done, but like it's not, you know.
Right. No, and it's you know, not every, you know, generally all the lot vendors are very like, we're all very nice and we all get along and we all have, you know, it's just like, you know, tensions run hot. It's also like the last shows of the summer, you know, generally for Phish, and so it's like we're tired, you know, so tensions are hot, and like doing those little things to like make sure everyone, you know, you couldn't imagine the look on people's faces when they showed up and we're like, oh yeah, your spot, you're like already, everybody's good. You want to pick one out? Like everybody's got room. We did the thing. And like the overjoy of everyone was just like so cool. We had such a good, it was the best weekend.
If you come in already like, all right, it's fucking Dix and here we fucking go, you know, like, and then you find out that you don't have to be like that. It's fucking great, dude. This has been sick, man. This has been fucking awesome. Do you have one, music that you're listening to right now, a bunch that you can't put down, and two, do you have any shows that you're going to be vending at coming up through like spring or summer?
Man, I am listening to Friends of Jerry. That's who I'm listening to a bunch right now. I love Friends of Jerry. If anyone that listens to this podcast has not checked out that band, best dead cover band around. They put the craziest, darkest jams in the middle of everything, and then cover songs. The catalog is limitless. Those dudes know how to play. Friends of Jerry, that's who I'm listening to. And then vending wise, I'm healing this stupid robot knee. So I'm hanging out. Trey's in Chicago tonight. Damn. I'm really sad I can't be there. I'll see everybody. I'm going to do some Billy Strings. I'm going to do some Widespread Panic. I'm going to do some, and then I'll see everybody on Phish tour. Yeah, man. Know, as always.
You are all healed up by Chicago this summer. I will be out there for that, so I would love to fucking see you for that.
Yeah. Are you going to be at the bowl?
Yeah, the Hollywood Bowl, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a chance I might make a last-second flight to come hang out at the Hollywood Bowl. No vending, but just, like, come kick it, because I love the bowl.
Dude, that run was sick last time. And that's when I was living there last time. I'm not living there now, but, like, yeah, if you need a spot, if you need any help getting out there, dude, let me know. I would love to see you in California. That'd be sick as fuck.
Yeah.
So that was my conversation with Logan from Mr. Dude. Just another Midwestern dude who has music in his bones. You know, this guy, he's lived the life. He's been living the life since he was a kid, meeting Warren Zevon, and now he's living the life out on tour, making awesome art for you guys. Like I said, if you're interested in some of his stuff, go to his Instagram page first, check it out. You can go to his website and buy some of his stuff. You can get that plush toy. So sick. Trey's got one, so you're going to want one. And thank you guys so much for listening again. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you're subscribing on the YouTube and giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps out with the algorithm of it all. And if you want access to some conversations that are uncut, unreleased, not out yet, go ahead and put those. You can become a member of the Patreon for $4 a month. But until next time, guys, have a great show.